So to recap, in the last video I showed you how to make AI avoid certain areas. One thing I didn't show you, I'll just quickly do as an add-on. You can of course make areas that they won't avoid entirely, but which have a cost. So let's create a new kind of nav area, avoid if possible, which will, for any actor, create a bit of a cost. Let's say 5, let's say 10. So nav area will be avoid if possible. Geez, so I'm going to just close the editor and restart. I've just reloaded the editor, so there you can see the blue, and that cost should be enough to send the players going around that way instead. Let's see what happens. I've got a video building in the background, so it's a bit jerky. Sorry about that. But as you saw, that is working as intended. So that's all that sorted for AI. Not too hard. But now I need to move on to the player controller, which is less straightforward. And I'm going to start looking at the functions which are available to you. This is, you can also do a simple move to actor, but this is what you got in the player controllers as regards moving. That's it. So you can't access the AI stuff from a player controller. So you need to have a filter, basically. You want to apply a filter. Here's where I find you can set a filter. Did I actually miss it? In which case I'm going to cry. No, there is no filter that you can specify for a player controller. Some might say that's an oversight. Regardless, so what I want to do, and the purpose of this tutorial, is to create a blueprint node that is a simple move to location with filter. And for this we have to go down the rabbit hole, which is a C++ stuff, C++ node. So I now have to remember how to do this, and I'm going to show you. Okay, so we start by adding some code. We go to not there, we go to here and new C++ class, I believe, and you want to select a blueprint function library. This is a bit of a wizard to set it up for you. You can do it manually, but this is what we want. And I'm going to call it nav test helper library, and that's going to stick it somewhere appropriate. Let's just create that. You have to make sure you've installed VisualStudio 2017 for the latest version 4.22, and it's going to build a whole ton of stuff. It's not super user friendly, but if you've done C++ coding and other things, it's going to be a bit of a pain. If you've not done it, you're going to have to talk to some people about how to do this. Because when it works, it works. When it fails, it's a nightmare. But maybe I'm just old. I'm going to just let it do its thing and come back to you when it's finished. Right, we are now in VisualStudio 2017, which is the one that's used with 4.22 Unreal Engine. And here's what we're left with when it starts up: the header file and the C++ file for our own library. Nothing in it so far. There are some conventions. These things have to be in there for it to work properly to import. There are certain resources. There's a few different ones. You should be able to figure out the basic setup that you want to get a particular thing in. This is a reasonable example, and there's some code to put it in. Took me a few goes to get it right. What I want to do is to copy an Unreal function and repurpose it, or rather expose it to a player controller rather than AI controller. So I'm going to go back to the blueprints, and this is the function I want to copy. It's an AI controller function. I think it's in the blueprint helper library, but we'll come to that. But basically this has the filter class. That's what I want to be able to apply to a move to location control. Now, to get to this point, I looked at the code for the player controller. Here we go, simple move to location. You can see what that does. So I found the only way to actually get this stuff to work is to just do a simple search, which is far from perfect. I couldn't get it working to link from the blueprint to the C++. It didn't work for me, so I'm just going into this. You seem to get a copy of the Unreal Engine C++ code. Oh, good. Simple move to location, perhaps, is what I wanted. Simple something. Simple move to location, so my bad. Just having a think about it while also rendering video. So simple move to location is something in the blueprint helper library. Okay, so I'm starting from the point of view of taking the function that the player controller uses and adding a filter to it. That's what I want to do. So this is what I know works. That's the header file, and that's the C++ file. So this is the function that I want to copy and adapt. And basically, I'm being a bit hacky because I'm not, you take something out of its files, you've got problems arising. I also want to, so I just want to copy the location one, and there's another one I want to get after that. So I'm just going to copy that, put it in mine, and I'm going to have to include a few more things. I'm going to be lazy while I'm at it. I'm just going to copy everything that includes, which is more than I need. I think the downside is that that's going to make things slower to compile, but otherwise okay. I'm going to change that to nav-test helper library or whatever we're calling it. I don't know how that works, so I'm just going to take that out. We're just going to bugger up logging. I can fix that later, as people say. I need to change that to the right class, nav-test helper library. Let's just double check on our header files. And I'm going to open up the header file. I want to open that up, please. I don't know how that works. This is what I'm copying, so I'm just going to copy that definition, put it in mine. I'm going to put it in nav-test navigation, and I'm going to add a filter, which I'm going to steal the definition from somewhere else. But I'm going to do that in a second. But before I finish with this, let's see, namespace, this thing, init navigation control. I'm going to need that. I'll be straight up with you. I'm not too sure where that namespace is set and how it works. I'm just going to instead I'm going to put it in my class. This is probably not kosher, so don't do this, do better than this. Oh, I don't think we need that one, do we? I know you're better than this, so do better than me. Honestly, don't copy my C++ coding skills. So I've put that in my class. I need to just copy this here. I have to put it afterwards. I'll even put it as private just to make myself feel a little less dirty. Take that off again. I'm going to need a bit more in there. So what's in the blueprint helper library? I don't think I need that bit, but I'm going to steal those bits. That's got to be the last bit. We've got that one. Alright. And I need to find the definition of that filter. So I'm going to find a function that uses it. In the AI, we've got, no, I don't want simple. What am I in? Oh, spawn for an AI, so yeah, I need to be in the controller. Move to location, that's what I'm searching for. So this can be tedious. There must be a better way to do this. Oh, also, when you are in Visual Studio, you have to give it a bit of time for it to compile the indices. So if you're doing these searches, it may not work for you. Just let it run a bit longer. You'll see down there it's doing some stuff. AI controller is the one I want. So you can see in this function, which has more inputs, one of the inputs is T subclass of, oh, go away, navigation query filter. So I am first of all going to stick that here, and I think I need to include a few more things. Oh, I'm hoping that's a header file. No. Okay, this is now getting confusing. AI controllers header? No. But I think what I need, and it will let me know if I'm wrong, maybe that one. I'll stick it here because it's in the definition. I'm not sure that's what I wanted. See, I'm not so good at this stuff. I think I'm just going to include the AI controller header file. And that should work. Now, this is what I want to add. I don't think it's being found, so I'm just going to get the path. Why is that not working? Because there's something in it. I don't know. Copy full path. Go to project. Go to my project. So this is how I'm hacking this together. Include directories. Edit. Add that. And hopefully it'll find it now. I think that's what I want to do. So that now provides the right stuff for that. That's not a U function because I don't want that to be exposed. In here, let's see how we get on. Yikes, build solution. Now in my day you'd build a project, but now it's called a solution, which I think does put a bit of pressure on it to work. Yeah, this went alright. For some reason I'm getting, oh, yeah, no, fair enough. Let's stick it there. So it's not getting as far as doing any proper linking. Yeah, so this is more like it. That's true. No, that's true. I did not copy that across. I'm just trying to get it to compile before I do anything with it. Perhaps I need to copy the include there. I forget how all this stuff works. Yeah, no, that now has said it likes that. Why is that doing that? I think that's because something else is choking. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yes, I did. Must be relative to a specific object. I don't know if I need that or if this is the problem, but let's just make it explicit. Non-static member reference must be. Alright, should that be static? No. Should that be static? Alright, no, this is good. I think that compiled. You can tell that because it's choking on a load of stupid linking errors. Okay, so I've included some more stuff. What I need to do is then to go to this thing down here, my project source navtest is the project again, the build C# thing. There's some modules here. Now it's 2019, but we still have to figure out manually what modules to add. The answer is these two modules, navigation system AI module. Now let's see if this builds. Build a solution, not a project. La la la. Do do do. Thinking about it, thinking about it. Is it gonna work? Yes. So that has apparently compiled. I'm still trying to just. Oh, well, I haven't actually done all the coding yet, have I? But what we can do is just get this into the. Okay, you have to compile it with this thing as well, and possibly restart the editor. There are supposedly some improvements in 4.22 as regards updates getting in there. So I go to my top-down controller. If I click somewhere, I want to simple move. Okay, it's not in there. Right, just going to restart. Bear with me. Okay, the reload worked, but I realised I haven't renamed my function with filter and with filter. Let's just build that and see if that makes that work again. So we're back in here, simple move to location with filter, get in there. So my goal's there, but now, oh yeah, self. I can select a filter class, which will be the as yet made. Did I not make it? Player filter. Right, let's just quickly. Foolish boy. I mean, feel free to come up with better names for all these things if you're doing it properly. Block player is excluded. Simples. Filter class, player filter. Right, all I need now is to actually, do that bit of code. So I may need to crib again. Yeah, be right back. Okay, let's look at what we've actually got in terms of the code. We have this simple move to location based on the just simple move to location with filter, with this extra parameter we've added, filter class. This is just housekeeping. You can update that text, would be good. Basically, if you haven't, so the path following component is a thing that AI controllers have and player controllers don't. What this thing does is up here, this is the second function I copied. Basically, if the controller you're dealing with and it's cast as an AI controller, anyway, that's going to fail. I haven't even bothered changing that. So if it can't find one, it makes one. It makes a new object, registers it with world, and initializes it. And that's the kind of stuff you could have figured out with a bit of time. But that's what it does. So you now have a path following component, which may have unforeseen effects, but let's just pretend it doesn't. And it does a check to see if it's reached the location. If it has, don't do anything. Deal with any other move requests that are happening. And if it's already at the goal, just finish. Otherwise, it gets nav data for the nav agent properties. That may also be dubious, come to think of it. If it's got the navigation data, it sets up a query for a pathfinding query based on the controller, the nav data, and the from and the to location. Now this thing has another version where it has a query kind of thing, but it's not, alas, a filter class. So I need to put in another line. I'm going to crib in real time from my other one I've already made. Okay, so I make a query filter. And I'm going to have to include things. No, it's already included. So I set up a query filter of the appropriate type based on the one passed as an argument and the navigation data. I then add that as another parameter, query filter. It gets the result of the pathfinding query taking into account the filter, and then it just does the same stuff. So build that, fingers crossed. So yeah, if you do one thing, do that line and then put it there. Yep, it's done. So go back to our project. I think we have to compile just to be on the safe side. And when that's done, fingers crossed, it should work. So I want to go here, let's just show the navigation. I want to get to there. There you go. I want to get to there. So that is a lot of faff to make a small change to one component, to one function, to allow your top-down controller to go where you want, but avoiding areas. So this is seems simple, but that was the hardest bit to do, and the hardest bit is just getting the thing to fucking compile. Anyway, excuse my language. Took a long time to get to this stage first time round, I'll just put it that way. Hope that's helpful. Obviously you can extend the behavior in various ways. This may have unforeseen consequences that'll be terrible, but for now this seems to work. There you go. Bye bye.